Haji Inusa Fuseni joining us. Good morning, Alhaji, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Winston. How are you?
I am doing very well, and I believe you are also doing fantastic.
I'm good.
You are enjoying your, your wait for exiting Parliament.
Yes, I'm working very hard to leave a legacy by the time I leave Parliament.
You're working hard to leave a legacy. Do I get the impression that if you're still in Parliament, sometimes it's difficult to leave a legacy because you have to be satisfying the little needs of people?
Well, because Parliament is a deliberative chamber, and because you are elected into Parliament by representatives, and if you are appointed a minister, then you have to share your time amongst these three critical institutions. The constituents, which is the constituency, ministry, which is part of the executive, and the Parliament itself, which is the main reason why you are there. And if you don't do that well, you are not going to be able to leave footprints. Okay, so indeed, my last year in Parliament, I'm working very seriously, and members of Parliament are beginning to appreciate the contribution I'm making to a deepening parliamentary democracy in this country, and I intend to continue that way until the 6th of January 2021, when I say goodbye to Parliament.
All right, we'll get into that later on the show. We'll also be joined by national organizer of the NPP, Sami Awukuba. Let's get into the headlines of the newspapers. And the Daily Graphic says, BOG releases 5.5 billion will cushion economy against COVID-19. And I like the look on Alhaji Musa Fuseni's face. I'll get your thoughts on that shortly. But compilation of voter roll will use legitimate means to stop EC. That's according to the NDC. We'll discuss this issue as well today. Vice President launches scholarship for doctors, and COVID-19 mom and baby test negative. Now, this is a very, very exciting story, something that happened in Takwa. Dr. Bedouansa and the team conducting that particular surgery. We're happy that, we're happy that the baby is tested negative. Back page, work on Tamale interchange. Okay, the Tamale Central MP is here. Progresses, and Tiger Force Group supports 37 military hospital.
Well, the Ghanaian Times, the most authoritative newspaper, says, Nana Adodonko Akufo-Addo says, we will build more SSS across the nation.
Why do I get a look on your face?
Well, he's, I think that he's now in the business of promising the people of Ghana on what they want to do in their final dying days in government. And so he said they will build more schools. I mean, they have said it when they were in campaigning for elections. He's repeated it when he met some group of people from the Upper East region.
Okay.
Teachers are saying that they won't go back to the classroom unless, so they're given a condition under which they will go back to the classroom. The finance minister, as you read, says government to roll out economic rescue program. I mean, government is taking advantage of the COVID-19 to do things which it otherwise would not have done. The United Nations marks International Peacekeepers Day. Is the back page of the Ghanaian Times, and we want district hospital. Shira Ayuf says.
Okay, so the Chronicle, and it normally would start with a quote that says, Isaiah 61 verse 8, for I the Lord love justice, I hate robbery and wrongdoing. So the splash says, please grab Osei gangsters after terrorizing residents, and comes with a photograph of 3 persons. Supreme Court has barred EC from using voters ID card. Abu Ramadan. Odike sacked from IPAC meeting, and pregnant widow begs IGP for justice. Back page, Premier League to restart on 17th June. Man City, Arsenal lined up as first game. Real Madrid, Man U, top Europe's most valuable clubs. And my wife always wanted to live in Nigeria. Harry Redknapp laughs of claims of Super Eagles coaching job.
So the Daily Guide of Friday 29th today says on its front page, Obinim files 1.6 million tax as Ken drags him to Yoko. I think this is about the issue of non-payment of tax, which has become controversial and a topical issue in Ghana. The paper also says that the court strikes out some judges' suit, which can be seen on page 6. Bono East confirms COVID-19 case. I think that's the first case they are recording. And instant cards for voters. The EC is promising that they will be delivering instant cards, voter ID cards, to voters upon registration. The back page, Akono, CK Akono, says, let's rally behind Akono. Ket says. Ket Mante says that we should rally behind Akono. I hope your son gets corona. It's also on the back page, and this is by Trodeni. And striker suffers new injury after clashing with referee. New Jabin club rewards ping pong winners.
Great. So let me get into the new crusading guide, and then I'll introduce my other guest. Expose 10 NDC lies against EC and West Blue and the transformation of Ghana sport. Eba Saga, John Mahama's name never appeared as government official 1, NPP communication director. Dangerous Abu Zain behind bars over false alarm. And the back page says current voters register not legally credible for 2020 Abu Ramadan, and Vice President Baumia launches government scholarship for postgraduate training of doctors. We've also been joined by national organizer of the NPP, Sami Awuku. Good morning, Sami.
Good morning, my brother.
How are you doing?
Very well. I can see you doing well too.
Oh yes, I'm doing fantastic.
Good. Anyway, great to see the Honorable Minister Hussein.
Sami, good to see you today.
I haven't seen you in a long time.
Very long time. You're busy on the field, no sir?
Oh, I could also hear the subtle propaganda. The president is still promising ahead of
but the president has made a promise, hasn't he?
But you know the way he said it.
Okay, what do you have, Sami?
Okay, so I have the Finder newspaper. Voters register compromised Abu Ramadan. Names of persons who registered with the National Health Insurance card still in it. That says Abu Ramadan. 918 receives government scholarship for postgraduate medical training. Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia's picture is also here. Ghana's daily infection rate slightly decreasing. Dr. Bedusa Akodia. ADRA supports hospitals combating COVID-19 with items worth over 150,000. Then I also have the Ghanaian Observer. We have a beautiful picture of the Vice President here. Akufo-Addo committed to equitable distribution of health facilities. That's by the VIP. You also have the picture of the President here. President Akufo-Addo presents charters to 2 varsities. Then December 7th elections will happen, says the NPP's chief scribe, John Boydu. Abu Ramadan backs EC over new voters register. Says current register not legally credible. And then,
okay, so let's get to your large news of Sony.
Well, the daily guide.
Just before the honorable news of Sony comes in the back page of the Ghanaian Observer, Asamoah Gyan will receive a rousing farewell. GFA boss, Keto Kweku. Inter will only sell Martinez for £99.7 million.
Interesting.
I don't know if they have a connection with JoyFM.
Maybe they do.
And then Locomotive, Spartak inquire about Bernard Menson's selling price.
So the Daily Statesman says 900 doctors for free postgraduate training as NPP fulfills another critical campaign promise. Yesterday, the president presented presidential charters to 2 universities, Pentecost University and All Nations University gain autonomy. Also appears on the front page of the Daily Statesman. And a repeat of the story I read earlier. Court throws out some George's suit against EC with 6,000 costs. On the back page, Premier League clubs agreed to resume contact training for 4 more test positive. And Jan will receive a rousing farewell when he retires. I believe it is Asamoah Gyan says Okrako assures. The Gold Street business says government juggles debt issuances and maturities, and the roadmap for easing COVID-19 restrictions expected soon. Now on the back page, we have enterprise trustees announce additional COVID-19 support for clients. And new efforts to boost food production launch amidst COVID-19 are some of the stories on the back page of Gold Street business.
Great. So let's get into our online news review brought to us by Zenith Bank, in your best interest, and Grow Good Energy. So to all our valued customers, Grow values our relationships built over the years. Let's keep ourselves free of the coronavirus disease and keep our station safe by observing the following. 1. Cover your mouth with tissue when you cough and dispose of the tissue immediately. Wash your hands with soap and running water, which have been provided at all our service stations, especially when you handle money. And you can also use an alcohol-based sanitizer. If you're not in a position to wash your hands, maintain a minimum distance of 1.5 meters with other customers and or attendants. Let's observe these simple protocols and together defeat COVID-19 virus. If you exhibit any symptoms, do not head to the hospital immediately. Call the hotlines and ask for help on COVID-19 hotlines 055 2222 004 or 055 2222 005. And let's get to my Joy Online. State doesn't owe MPs anything. Demands for S. Gracia repulsive, self-seeking. That's according to Professor Jampo. Honorable Minister Fuseni.
Well, it's a very controversial issue. Yesterday I listened to the majority leader, and I was a bit taken aback. I mean, it raises serious jurisprudential issues, legal issues, in the sense that you recall that it was President Kufuor who set up the committee under the Constitution. Or was it the Green Street Committee? Chirihesa Committee to determine the emoluments of members of parliament and the executive. You also recall that consequent upon the approval, which was done on the day the MPs were rising, this notion of wash my back and I wash your back came in. There was general uproar on the suggestions and recommendations made by the Chinrihesi Committee. So Atamils took over the reins of government on the 7th of January 2001. And 2009. Yes. And decided to review the Chinrihesi report. He constituted a committee as provided by the Constitution to review what Chinrihesi has done. Thereafter, the committee recommended that they scale down the monies that were recommended, and mind you, there were recommendations, the monies that were recommended for payment to members of parliament. Now, when those recommendations were accepted by the late Professor Mills, and he paid, now it's emerged that the scaling down of the monies that were recommended by Professor Atamils were about 30% of the original, 70% of the original recommendations. It meant that Atamils' committee struck off 30% of the monies initially recommended by the Chinrihesi Committee. Now, the members of parliament, the former members of parliament, are saying that that money is due them, and that committee, having completed its work under Kufuor, cannot be subject to review by another committee established by John Evans Atamil. Now, so it raises a jurisprudential question. Article 58 of the Constitution vests executive authority in the president. At the time that the review was being done, the president of the country was Professor J.E.A. Mills. Is it the case that where a president determines the emoluments of the members of parliament and Article 71 office holders and ministers of state, an incoming president cannot review same? Now, I also thought that the best way to have this matter decided was for the former MPs and those affected. And I came to parliament in 2006. Yes, in April 2006. So if the payment is going to be made, I stand to benefit. But I'm just raising these questions so that we can all have a clear mind about it. That look, if members of parliament are raising the legal issue of whether or not the president, that is President J.E.A. Mills, had capacity to review what Chinrihesi did under Kufuor, what is the appropriate forum to go? Tell me, what's the appropriate forum? The courts. The courts, because you see, now everybody is reading self-serving motives into this matter. Why did the former members of parliament wait until Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo became president before those payments were approved? Is it because Nana Akufo-Addo stands to benefit? Have they used systems, the inherently weak systems that we have, to exploit the state.
Did they contact you? The former
No,
MP?
they didn't contact me.
You're not aware?
No, I'm not aware.
But you stand to benefit?
I stand to benefit because by reason of the fact that I'm part of the 2005, 2008 group. But I was not contacted. I'm not a former member of parliament.
So there's been this issue, before I get to Sammy briefly, there's been this issue about whether or not approval was given for that particular, as gratia, or that particular, emolument. Did you approve as parliament, for instance, in 2009, before you rose, before your parliament was dissolved, did you approve, the emoluments for the executive?
What did we approve?
I'm asking you.
Yes, so in 2009, in 2008 actually, it was in 2009. Yes, in 2009, between the 1st and 5th of January, there was some approval. But what was it? You will also recall that in that year, 2009, there was serious agitation and counter accusations of what was approved.
Hold on, Mohammed. Let me just get Sammy's take on this briefly before we go for the BBC news. In just 30 seconds, because we need to go. Yes, briefly. We're just starting the discussion.
I have a lot to say on this matter.
Yes, briefly. Yes.
I think this raises very interesting constitutional matters. Yes. The moment the former president, begins to draw down the salary, that means that the members of parliament who are also captured in that Chinahese report also have a right to also draw their salary. Mind you, the sitting president at that time approved that of the legislators, and then the legislators also approved that of their president.
Okay.
So it comes in a package, and I have very deep comments on these matters. So, and I'm sure when we return,
we definitely will get into all these deep comments about it. Yeah. Well, the conversation is just beginning. I mean, I promised you today was going to be a political discussion. It's a political Friday, I call it. And the national organizer of the NPP, Samuel, who's here with me as well as member of parliament for Tamale.
I'm with the fasting together with Donald Winu.
All right, so we go for these few messages, and when we return, we'll bring you the BBC News.
*442# is the new mobile banking formation in town. It's simple, convenient,